Yeah, not bad, bro. How are you, man?
I'm all right, mate. The sun's shining outside. I wish I was outside, but I'm just chilling in my kitchen.
I want to go outside, man, but like the Wi-Fi for me is terrible and 3G when I go outside, so I gotta
Yeah,
stay in. It's
yeah, no, for
terrible,
real.
man. But at least the
What
sun's
Wi-Fi?
out.
Yeah, Wi-Fi struggles are real. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah. Wi-Fi during this time has been the worst. It's been terrible, man.
Because everyone's just killing it. Everyone in the streets just rinsing the Wi-Fi. That's why.
How you been during quarantine anyway, bro?
Mate, do you know what? Like typically, I thought I'd be a lot like. I thought I'd be a lot worse. I thought I'd be a lot more bored and
Yeah.
like inherently, I'm quite a bit like in terms of me as a person, in terms of my personality, I'm a bit of a worrier. So like,
Yeah.
I don't like situations that I can't control. Like without sounding like a control freak, I like to be able to make plans and stick to my plans and kind of achieve my goals. And the fact that this has kind of all been kind of taken out of our hands, normally I'd be kind of a bit concerned about it all. But
Yeah.
to be honest, like I think that the only comfort that I'm taking is where everyone is in the same situation. Like I've been like unusually calm about the whole thing. I've just been kind of taking time to spend time with my wife or my daughter, just trying to be as creative as possible. I've been making lots of music. Obviously, I've been doing quite a few live streams and
Yeah.
whatnot, which I'd neglected massively. I hadn't done no mixes or no live streams for a long, long time. So I've just used the time to kind of just reconnect, really. And I think I've connected with more DJs in this last couple of months than I have done probably in the last 2 years. Which
That's
is
literally
again,
been me as well. You know what? When I was telling a couple people like Hursty and like all these other DJs, I was saying like I only knew them lot. I did
yeah,
not know anything out of that circle. So like kind of
yeah,
like you kind of knew your circle, didn't know
yeah.
anything really else about outside
Mm.
that. So it's been weird just kind of getting to know so many other DJs around the country and
Like there's so,
stuff like that.
there's so many DJs that I've known of for a long time, and I've spoke to kind of briefly on like social media. And we've had like quick conversations, or we've done like had like little spats on Twitter, with little conversations on Twitter, stuff like that. But people that I've actually reached out to and had more in-depth conversations with, and
Yeah.
it's been good to kind of just connect with just new people. Like DJing is really one big massive family. Like we're all in the same game.
Yeah.
Like it's hard out here. Do you know what I mean? So if you can kind of bounce ideas off each other and kind of show support in a time like this, then I think it's just going to make everything and everyone stronger as we come out of it.
Have you kind of enjoyed quarantine, or has
Yeah,
it kind of been like
mate,
you're
do you
like
know what?
now
Like,
you're kind of done, or
no, yeah, I'm definitely ready to come out of it now. Like I think the first few weeks I kind of enjoyed it, and the last couple of weeks are getting like a little bit more of a struggle. Like the sort of deeper we go into it, and it's just a bit concerning, like to think like I generally don't know when we're going to be back. Like, well, certainly for myself, I don't know when I'm going to be back in clubs. I personally can't see myself DJing in a nightclub again this year. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
It'll be a push to say December.
Yeah, I think maybe like Q4 earliest, like October, November, December, if we're lucky. But if not, I think we're looking at early part of next year, which is mad. Like, because obviously DJing for me is my full-time job. That's all it's all I do. So it's like it is worrying, but at the same time, I think at the beginning, like normally I'm so busy. I don't get any time to rest ever. Like I work like 3-4 nights a week. Obviously, like I say, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. Like I've got a lot of shit going on at home. So I'm pretty flat out all the time. So I think the first few weeks was a real nice thing. The fact that like where my diary was just empty, it was like, right, I can just actually just take a breath and just chill and just actually kick back and have some time to actually relax, which I don't often get at all, which has been really, really nice. But yeah, now the boredom's starting to really sort of set in. I do want to get back to normal as quick as we can.
When did it kind of set in for you that this was going to be like a long kind of quarantine period? Like when did it kind of set in stone?
Yeah, I don't really think it like hit me for the first couple of weeks. I think I was like, I kind of just thought like everybody else, like I thought it was just going to blow over.
Yeah.
I thought the government kind of had it under control at first, and where we were kind of like, didn't have too many signs of it getting too serious. I thought, oh, we're probably going to be one of them lucky countries. It's going to kind of hit us in a small way, and then we'll kind of go back to normal. And then I think it was when we went into the first bit of lockdown, and then I think they were talking about it's when we went in. I think when was it? When we went on? I think like the end of March, and they said like,
March,
now you've like when they were like you've really got to stay home now. And I was chatting to my missus, and I was just like, well, what's going to happen if this goes on for like 6 months? And we were just like, it's just mad. Like even my daughter come into me. She was like, she finds it crazy that obviously when we was in school, like, I'm obviously 36, so I was in school a long time ago, but like we was learning about things like the plague and stuff like that, and how that
this could be a history question, man. In like 10 years time, this will be a history question.
Yeah, that's what I mean. She came into me. She went to me, Dad. She went, "Don't you find it mad that like when like kids get older in school, they're going to be learning about COVID-19, like we learn about the plague?" And I was like, "Do you know what? And my daughter's only 13, and for her to come and say to me, yeah, like in years to come, they're going to be teaching this in history class, like a global lockdown never happened before." It's just mad. It's crazy.
It'll be in geography. It'll be in a lot of subjects because the economy's hit hard in every country basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you know what? It's weird because, like you said, at the start, I thought this was just going to be a month thing. And it's weird because obviously before you were having gigs, I was having gigs and loads of other DJs were having gigs. So I never even thought this was going to be an issue for us. Like, I kind of knew it was there. But when it got to like end of February, then I kind of heard of more cases coming in Europe and stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe it's a little thing. But yeah, it's crazy now.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, and I just, like I say, I was trying to kind of stay optimistic at first, and that. But the more I listen, the more you think logically about, in terms of like the spread of the virus. I just think like in terms of clubs, you got to think, man. Like, I mean, you DJ in clubs of like 250 like to 400 people packed in a small little room. You've got like air conditioning in there, pumping all kinds of like. All you need is one. Like look what happened in South Korea. You got that one.
Yeah, that one person who infected 108 people or something like that.
You know what I mean? So it just shows you the scale of how fast it can replicate and get in. Like, and do you know what I mean? Like, as much as I want to go back to work, ultimately, like, you got to try and put your health and your safety first. And it is, don't get me wrong, like it's long not working. Like I feel everybody out there right now that's not, you know, not got no work, and it's tough right now. It is hard, but we've just got to try and stay strong and just try and work through this as quick as we can together.
Definitely. Like,
man, like Joe Lobo locked in, yeah?
Yeah. Got him after you, bro.
Yeah, I see you got him at 4 p.m. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for Joe. Joe's another guy that I said, like, we only really like started linking up on Instagram Messenger a little while ago. I've never actually met Joe in real life, but you know, you just get them people that you like, even just through messages, you just feel like they're just real people. Like, they're just nice people. Like, Joe's always made a lot of time to reach out to me. He always shows support on my stuff, my mixes, my posts. And I just think that's what the DJ scene needs more of. You know,
you know what? It's changed. This period has changed a lot of DJs.
Yeah, 100%.
It's changed a lot because a lot of people were just kind of like, which is fine. Like, stay in your circle. I don't want to look at anyone else. This is which is fine. But it's just like, now it's kind of opened everyone up to actually talking to new people and getting to know different lifestyles, and you know.
Yeah, that's why I think what you're doing is so good though, bro. Like, I haven't seen many people doing it, and I just like, that's why I was so keen to get involved, because I've seen you interviewing a lot of people, like guys that I know. Like, I know a lot of the guys you've interviewed on a personal level, and I just thought, you know what it is, like, there's not enough like people there's not enough connection that goes on. You don't get to kind of see like the ins and outs.
You don't see the ups and downs of it. Everyone sees kind of the ups on your social media.
Yeah, everyone just sees you playing the bookings and playing the gigs, but no one realizes what like, the struggles that you've been through, or the journey that you've been through to get where you are. And you know, I just think it's good for people to just share stories, because you know, you can anyone can learn from anything. Do you know what I mean? So anything that you can learn from is going to help you and benefit you, and that's a positive for everyone. Definitely.
So going to the start of your career, how did DJing kind of start for you? How did everything begin?
Mate, that was a long time ago. You're bringing out my age now.
You already said your age. You already said your age, bro.
Bro, the grey hair is real. This grey beard hair has come in the last 12 months. It catches up with you quick, trust me. But my DJ for me kind of started as a bit of like a, not an accident, but just like, it was, you know, I was so young. I was 11 years old when I started playing on my first set of turntables.
Yeah.
And it's really much. So my dad was head of A&R for Sony Records for years. Like, he worked with like Michael Jackson, like ABBA, Sade, like massive acts. So I'd always grown up in a household that was just surrounded with different musical genres, like from like UB40, Bob Marley, like the Culture Club, like rock bands like the Beatles, REM, like mad musical influences all around me all the time. And then when I got to like 11, my older brother's like 4 years older than me, so he was like 15, 16 at the time. And it's when like garage music was really popping, and it was like he used to go out to like different raves with his friends and stuff, and he was buying up the old Sun City tape packs. That any old school garage DJ will know what Sun City is. Like, it was one of the biggest garage raves out at the time. And obviously back in the day, before we had iPhones and all these fancy stuff, we had obviously tape cassettes. Yeah. And he used to buy the tape packs and stuff and bring them home, and he used to play them in the house. So I'd hear him playing his garage tunes. And then he bought himself like a pair of, bearing in mind, my brother's partially deaf, right? So the fact that he even tried to DJ is mad. But he basically bought himself a pair of like Omnitronic belt drive decks. They were like proper bait, like old school. Like, the hardest things that you could learn to mix on was like Omnitronic or Citronic belt drive turntables. They're so slow on the like release of the tune and everything. And he bought himself like a 2-channel little mixer, a couple of turntables, and he used to have his friends around before they used to go out. And he started kind of trying to DJ and that, and he couldn't really get to terms with it. And then I used to sneak in his room as like an 11-year-old kid and like mess around on his decks. I had no idea what I was doing at all, like playing like old garage tunes and that. And then just through like pure perseverance, mate, of just like, I don't know what made me stick with it for such a long time, but I just stuck with it. It probably took me like a good, like 2 years, but I got to maybe about 13, and I just gradually and slowly through just the perseverance of learning how to beat match and stuff like that, I just managed to kind of grasp what it was all about. And then from that point on, I was just hooked, mate. And then he used to have all his friends when they used to come around my house before they used to go out. He'd make me come in his room and do them like a live garage set before they went out. So I'd be in his room DJing to like 12 of his mates in the room. Yeah. And it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. And I used to go like record shopping every weekend, to go to like Upmarket, Uptown Records, Black Market Records, Uptown. Like spend every single penny that I had, mate, on like white labels.
So you were hooked.
Yeah, man. I used to go into the record shops and just be like a little pest and be like, what new white labels have you got? And they'd be like, no, you can't have them. And then they'd be under the counter and I'd be just like begging people to give me the best tunes and that. Do you know what I mean? And they used to pull them out, and it kind of just went from there, and it just continued on. And then from like, so like 11 years old was when I first kind of got involved in music, really. And then from 13 onwards, when I could actually DJ, it was just like friends' parties at school, like house parties, birthdays, and it went on to pirate radio. And then from pirate radio, it turned into the club stuff, like when I was around about 21 years old.
So from then, what was your first gig? What was your first clubbing gig?
So my first ever nightclub gig was a place in Kingston, near where I'm from.
Yeah. And
it's a club called Essence. And I started working in around 2006. I started working as a promoter for a company called Scintillate, who are like, you've probably seen them, their stuff. They do a lot of stuff in Marbella.
Yeah.
And they used to run clubs all over London. Like they used to have like 4 or 5 nights on a Saturday night. And I remember being in Kingston one time, and their DJ who was meant to come and play, and I was promoting, and I had a guest list and whatnot, so I was down there anyway. And I had like a bag of CDs in my car. This is before like laptops and stuff. I used to have like, all my CDs in my car. And the DJ that was meant to come and play was in a car accident, and the 2 guys, Gary and Glenn, the 2 brothers that was running who run Scintillate, they was like running around like headless chickens. I didn't know what to do. They had no DJ in that. And I said to them, like, they said to me, do you know any DJs? And I was like, bro, I can DJ. Like, if you need me to jump on the decks, I will jump on. And they was like, what can you mix? I was like, yeah, come on, man. I've been DJing since I was 13 years old. And they had no idea. So I literally went on that night, like, completely blew the roof off. And then from that point on, they booked me every Saturday. And I was at that club for 5 years. I had a 5-year residency at that venue.
Wow.
So that was my first booking. That shouldn't even really have been a booking. It just happened to come by chance.
It just happened.
And I just grabbed the opportunity, went and grabbed my CD case out of the back of the car, jumped on, shut it down, and then just, from that point on, I got a 5-year residency. And them guys used to send me to like all over the country. Like I'd finish work on a Friday night and I'd come home, get ready. I'd drive to like Birmingham. I'd go and play in Brum for like all night. So like do like 10 till 3 o'clock. I'd finish in Birmingham, go and stay in a hotel. Next day, go and drive up to Leeds, play in Leeds. And then like on the Sunday, come back to London. I used to do some mad journeys, brother. I'd go up to like Derby and back in one night just because I knew I needed to get up there to go and promote my name outside of London.
Wow, so you were traveling from young, basically. You were going up and down the country. Yeah,
from like 22 years old. Like most of my bookings at like 22 was like in either like Derby, like Nottingham, Leeds, Birmingham, Liverpool. I didn't really have no London bookings because they wouldn't really give you a London booking if you were like untested. So they wanted to go and send you like, up the country to go and see how you got on before they start stick you in the West End. Because a lot of people ask me like, hey, like breaking into the West End is hard. It's a hard scene to crack.
That's what I was gonna get onto as well. Just like, how did that even come about for you? Like getting into the West End?
Yeah, again, it was mainly through them guys. That they used to run a night called it was on Aura nightclub in Mayfield on a Tuesday night, and they booked me on my first. No, it was a Thursday night run. They booked me on my first ever Thursday night at Aura, and I played there, and I obviously done well there. And then they started booking me at all their other nights. So it was like clubs like these clubs are gone now, but they're clubs like Vendome, like Studio of Albon. There's a club called Mayor. Like the old school Funky Buddha that used to run on a Tuesday night. So I basically played all over the West End for Scintillate. And then I think it must have been around about 2008. Like they got a little bit funny when I started getting quite a lot of booking inquiries from other promoters who obviously were seeing my name on flyers and whatnot and seeing me in London quite a lot. And then I was getting a lot of inquiries from other promoters. And then they got a bit funny when I tried to start working for other people, and they tried to say like, oh, you're exclusive to us. And I just kind of made the decision that I said, I'm not never going to, as much as they've been really good to me and we left on good terms, but I just said that I need to be able to grow my brand and branch out and grow my name with other people. And I can't do that if I'm just working for you guys. So just made the decision to basically go out on my own. And it was like the best thing that I'd ever done, because once I started working for other promoters and then other crowds started to get to hear me play and stuff like that, then my bookings from then just really just spiraled out of control, really.
So with, as you're saying, you don't want to be tied down to just one kind of thing. Did you start building up a contract after that, or did you kind of stay as just independent or go
I've always been independent. I've never really been like, other than them guys, I was never really exclusive to anyone. So I started working for my friend Joe Courtney that runs a thing now. He's obviously mature now, he's moved on to other things, but he runs an event called Soul Town Festival, which is a massive soul festival. But Joe used to run a brand called C'est La Vie back in the day, and that was at a club called Embassy on a Thursday night, which is in Savile Row. So I started working for Joe. I used to work for my friend Jay Sexton, who runs the IB for Spray parties now. He ran a brand called Dolce Parties. I was working for Jay, doing bits at Alto on a Wednesday and Aura as well. My older brother ran a brand called Night Play Parties, so I was working for him. And I was working for Jermaine J Funk for Unique, doing bits and pieces for them. So obviously I couldn't really like make myself exclusive to anyone, because I needed to be able to work for all of these guys, because they were running the biggest parties in London right at that time. So I would just play every night of the week. I'd be at a different club for a different promoter. And that's really kind of what took me to get to where I, to be able to progress through that crowd.
So you see, with all these events, right, do you think that after quarantine it's going to be more event-based because clubbing is quite dead in general, or do you think that's actually not the case?
Yeah, I think so. I think the clubs are going to take a while to get their just general kind of gist of things back, doing things by themselves. I think they're going to, a lot of clubs, they kind of went through back in the day, they used to get promoters in to obviously pack the venues, and then what they would do, they keep them on for a little while, and then they'd get rid of the promoter, hoping that they could try and retain that promoter's crowd. It never really works that way, though, because the crowd are loyal. The crowd are loyal to the party and to the promoter, not to the club, and the crowd will follow that club and that promoter and brand to whatever the club they go to. But some clubs don't really get that. They just think that, oh, the club's busy now, we don't need anymore. People are going to come anywhere regardless. But I think that in that changed for a little while, where clubs wouldn't really give the whole night to a promoter anymore, whereas back in the day they used to. And I think now they're going to realise that the numbers are down and they're going to need all the help they can get. So I think they're going to be more willing. I think they're going to be more willing now to go and work back with promoters again.
What's your take on like the West End scene coming out of quarantine? Like, do you think everything's going to go up in price as well? And do you think they're still going to maintain the crowd? Because obviously the West End scene is mainly dominated by the Europeans and Arabics who come down to give the club revenue. So personally, I don't think they're going to come back, because obviously this whole quarantine and all of this stuff. So what's your kind of take on that? Do you think it's going to take them a while to get back up?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm resident at a club called Tramp in Mayfair, which is like a private members club, and that's probably, I'd say 80% of their clientele is probably Arab. And obviously when Ramadan is on in the summertime, and also just in the summertime in general, because obviously they don't really come. So in the summertime they leave. They actually, a lot of them leave like Kuwait and Saudi Arabia and like Dubai, because where it's so strict over there and everything shuts down, they can't party. They want to continue to party, so they come over to here to party. Okay. And also it's so hot in the Middle East, they come to London to get away from the heat. And then typically it kind of goes a little bit more quiet in the winter time, when obviously all the Arabs have gone home. So I do think that a lot of venues that rely on that kind of clientele that they're not going to have this year, if they do even open this year, I do think they're going to start to struggle. But I think the thing is, if you up your prices to try and fill the gap that you're losing because of them guys, you're then going to just like isolate the people that are coming out that can't afford to spend that kind of money. Do you know what I mean? So it's a really fine line about how they're going to kind of approach it to try and not lose too much of their credibility with their crowd. Mate, do you know what it is like? There's just so many grey areas. Like there's so many unanswered.
You know what? No one knows what's happening. No one knows what's happening.
Like, literally, like that's the hard thing about it. You could literally say like you could find 10 people that'll have a different opinion about the whole thing, and that's, I think that's the biggest worry, is like it's the uncertainty that's around it. No one really knows what the hell is going to happen.
Do you get worried about your residencies, like coming out of quarantine? Do you think that there's going to be people the promoters may look to during quarantine, or do you think everyone's gonna go back to how it used to be and then see what happens and go from there?
Yeah, most of the promoters that I know, they use the same DJ lineup all the time, and they have done for like the past 5 years. And it's very difficult to break into. A lot of the promoters, you have to understand, a lot of the promoters who have brands, all the DJs that they know, a lot of them are their friends from school. So like a lot of them, they've had mad tight relationships for a long time. It's very, very difficult to infiltrate that. And that's kind of, I think, going back to what I said earlier about the reason why I never kind of like just pigeonhole myself to working with one person, because I tried to forge as many relationships as I could.
Yeah.
So I could always, because you know, one promoter suddenly says, "Oh, I've had enough. I'm packing up my brand," and you've been with that promoter for 5 years, and you've got
you've got somewhere to go to if you had branched out.
Yeah, if you've got no other relationships, like, and you rely on that one guy, and he suddenly says, "I've had enough." You know, you practically all your work is just suddenly gone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I do think promoters will be taking note of what's going on in lockdown, about like in terms of who's active and who's trying to kind of be to kind of stay current and bits and pieces like that. But at the same time, I don't particularly think that doing like the live streams and that is really going to get you any more work than what you had before. I think it's still going to be the same hustle. I think what I'm more concerned, not concerned about, but what I think is what's going to be occurring more is the fact that where the clubs are going to be so desperate to open and they've not earned so much money for such a long time. I think if you've got a residency that's on X amount of money, the clubs are going to be looking to those DJs to say, look, we need to try and cut costs because we've not been open for however long. And if you've got like a load of up and coming DJs that are going to try and jump on the opportunity and say, look, I'll play for X, then there's going to be a lot of conversations to be had between club residents and the club, whether they're willing to keep paying the same money they were getting prior.
Definitely. So yeah, big up Nathan Dorr just joined as well. Nathan Dorr just joined. So we and Nathan were talking about this as well. Like, when are we ever going to see 80,000 people in a stadium or like stuff like that? It's not going to happen.
Like, I generally can't see it for a good couple of years. Like, I generally don't think that the world is going to go back to normal until they've found a vaccine for this madness. Like, I just can't see it, because the thing is, no one really knows what's going to happen. Like, imagine you've got like 80,000 people going to like a Beyonce tour, like a Beyonce concert, and then you've got a couple of, and then like out of them 80,000 people, you've got like maybe a few hundred who go in and test positive for coronavirus. Suddenly you've got the whole of Wembley down with coronavirus. It's mad. Like, not that I think that would happen, but I just think the authorities are going to be so afraid of things like spiraling out of control that they're not going to be like willing to open up things like that until they can categorically know that you can go somewhere and be safe.
Definitely.
So I don't think we're going to be seeing like concerts and that for a long time, which is mad to think. Like, you've got even like it's crazy. I was thinking the other day, like I was on like DJ City the other day, like looking at all the new music that's coming out and that, and like obviously you got Drake just dropped a new album, Dom Toliver dropped a new album, Future dropped a new album, but these albums just
Chris Brown as well,
Breezy and Young Thug, and these albums are kind of coming out, and I'm like, mate, like, by the time we even get into clubs to be able to play them tunes, they're going to be like 6 to 8 months old.
That's what I was going to say as well. Like, how do you know what to play when you're coming out of quarantine? Because, you know, you got Drake, Tootsie Slide, you got all of these tunes that are coming out now, but you're like, how do you even know if that's going to be big in a club?
I think, to be honest with you, like, I kind of feel like everything's just going to go on pause. Like, I kind of feel like, don't get me wrong, like, that you're going to have to keep up with what's current, because your people are going to be coming out, and people do listen to Spotify in their cars, and people aren't stopping in terms of their musical knowledge about what's big and what's not. But I do think a lot of people, because they, in their head psychologically, they won't have been in a club when them tunes have been played. I still think that when them tunes get dropped in a club, the crowds will still react to that.
Yeah, they'll still react. I think they will, but it's just like, you're going to have to test it, right? You're going to have to just put it in a set. If it don't work, you just take it down in like a minute or something.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think obviously what you can always rely on is the old school bits, because old school bits,
definitely,
they're timeless, so you can always rely on them. So it's going to be just a case of being a little bit more open-minded and creative about how and when you play things. And like you said, if something doesn't work, just whip it out real quick, boy. Little echo out and a little sound effect.
A little echo out, done.
Yeah, a little bit of a rewind and then just chuck it through.
So DJing in like places like Tramp, how do you find it like with the clientele? Like it must help you with your DJ sets as well, you know, getting like a lot of international music as well and everything like that.
Yeah, like you have to, like, yeah, it's a little bit different. Like when I go in there, like when they have bottle shows and stuff, I have to play like some like mad Arabic songs I've never heard of. And we have like an iPad set up in the booth, so like, because obviously I'm not going to have the songs.
Yeah,
they're asking for,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So we have an iPad set up in the booth, like linked up to Spotify and YouTube, so we can pretty much get anything we want. But it just makes you more versatile, because like, I'm telling you, some weeks I'll go in there and it'll be like a real hood crowd, like, and I can go in with the hip hop for the straight. Like when I play there, I play for 6.5 hours, yeah, from like 11 o'clock till like 5:30 in the morning. So it's a long set. First couple of hours, I'll normally warm up with like sort of like deep vocal, soulful house while it's just kind of picking up, and then it's like from midnight onwards, it's just straight hip hop the whole night. But then other nights you'll get more of a kind of a diverse, like eclectic crowd, and you'll have to go through like commercial house. Like you'll be dropping tunes like by like Avicii and like, I don't really dig that kind of stuff. Like, it's not really natural for me to play that type of thing, because it's not really like my musical genres. My go-to genres for me that I absolutely love. My first love, and will always be my first love, is house. I love house. And then obviously hip hop and R&B, because obviously I play in so many hip hop and R&B clubs that's become a passion of mine as well.
Do you think that's helped you get in your gigs being like a more house DJ than hip hop R&B?
It's a tough one, really. Like, so do you know what the thing about being an open format DJ brings a huge challenge to itself, for the fact that you like, so let's say for argument's sake, like house is my main. If someone said to me tomorrow, you can only pick one genre of music to play the rest of your life, and you can only play that, it would be house for me. I'd have to pick house. Yeah. Because house takes me somewhere where hip hop and R&B doesn't. Like when I mix house, I lose myself in like a next world. I'm like in a trance. It's like I get some next energy about me.
Yeah.
But the problem is obviously when you get being taken seriously as a house DJ, when people see you play hip hop and R&B, it's very difficult, because people assume that because you play hip hop and R&B, you're therefore not a serious house DJ. But then when people see you play house, they assume that you're not a serious hip hop and R&B DJ. There's a real kind of weird contrast there. So like the fact that you're open format, I mean, like you could go in from house to garage, from garage to hip hop to R&B to soul to Motown to commercial pop, and then go back to house. That shows crazy versatility, and that for me is like the signs of a real talented DJ. There's someone that can move through genres effortlessly like that. Yeah. But the problem is I think that, like I said before, like I've had people say to me when I've said to them, I've contacted house promoters before, because it's an area that I'm really trying to push hard on. And I've said to them, like even me at 36, bro, I've been a professional DJ for over 15 years, but I will happily, if it's a booking that I know it's an area that I want to press hard into, one, I will play for free, and two, I will play a warm-up set. I'm not too proud to do anything. If I know it's a brand that I'd like to be associated with, bro, I'll play for free and I'll play warm-up. Just put me on the bill and then let me do my thing, and then judge me on that performance, and then let's talk about next bookings. But I've messaged house promoters before and said, and these are guys that I've known for a long time. I've messaged house promoters and said to them, like, what you saying? Like, can I jump on? Like, I'm really, really keen to get involved. And they've said to me, like, bro, you're not a house DJ, you're a hip hop DJ. And I'm just like, why do you think that? Like, I don't understand why people think it. And then the same thing when people reach out to me and they say, oh, can you play hip hop? And I'm like, yeah, why? And they're like, oh, but I see you doing house stuff. Like, I'm resident for a brand called Paravana, which is a sick house party. Yeah. And people have said to me before, oh, have you stopped doing the hip hop and R&B stuff now? Because I see you doing the Paravana bookings. And I'm like, no, bro, like that's just the next thing that I do. Like, people kind of,
it's weird, because you've got the multi-genre, and then you've got the DJs that just go in one genre. But those, in my opinion, those DJs are going to die out, because with the amount of international people who come into London as well, or UK in general, like, you're going to need to be multi-genre. Because
you 100%. You wouldn't get a booking in the West End if you can't play everything, because there's gonna come, if you like, even if you're just a hip hop and a house DJ, there's gonna be nights that you're gonna go into venues where the crowd, that all they're gonna want to hear is reggaeton.
Okay, you say that, but let's say I'm gonna take like Libertine, right, for an example. Yeah. In Libertine, you'll never hear. You will hear the bait reggaeton songs. You won't hear like. It's all quite commercial, and it's all commercial
100%.
R&B hip hop. Like, it's not.
Yeah, there's certain clubs in London that you would, like places like Tape, Libertine, like them clubs there. They're pure hip hop clubs, so you would expect to go there and just hear hip hop. You might get some Afro beats thrown in, but any DJ that can play hip hop and R&B can play Afro beats. There's all the same BPM. It's not going to be difficult. It's just all about understanding what tunes are big and what tunes aren't. But in terms of like, if you was to go to I was resident at Café de Paris for like 4 years.
How was it like DJing there?
Yeah, Café de Paris like again, it's like it's smack bang in the middle of Leicester Square, so you get a hell of a lot of people just walking in off the street. So it's a lot of tourists. So again, some nights you'll go in there and it'll be a student night, and they'll want to hear UK music and they'll want to hear hip hop and Afro beats. And then the next week you go in there, it will be a bunch of foreign people that have got no idea what the hell Afrobeats is. They've never even heard a UK track before in their life. So you'll spend your whole night playing commercial pop and reggaeton. So if you're not comfortable being able to move through, like to have your mind mess, because that's sometimes it's a bit of a head fuck. Like you go to one club and then, because mentally you start to prepare yourself for the next week thinking, all right, well this week was live because I played this and this. And then you might look back over your like Serato history and see what tunes kind of worked well. And then you'll download the new music, so you think what you're going to put into your set, and you go there and the crowd couldn't be any more different to what it was the previous week.
So there's a little pattern here. Would you agree that reggaeton and house are the two genres that are the safest options you could go to? Because when I see it, every country in Europe listen to reggaeton, even if it's like the smallest amount. They know all the, they know Ozuna, they know all of like J Balvin, they know all of them. So like
all them guys,
so I feel like that's like the safest option, because UK hip hop is just UK and a bit to Europe that will know it.
Do you know what? I'm actually blown away and gobsmacked at how much reggaeton in the UK has taken off. Like even a couple of years ago,
it's taken off.
Like a couple of years ago, you might drop a couple of tunes, like you said, like the popular J Balvin stuff, like and things like that. And you might throw like some old school bits in there, like Daddy Yankee and bits and pieces. But like now, I'd say probably in the West End, I'd say reggaeton probably makes up 40% of every set I play.
Yeah.
Because of the type of venues that I play at. Do you know what I mean? I don't particularly play. If I play hip hop clubs, it generally tends to be like for a guest set, so it's like a 1 to 2 hour set. But when I'm doing an all night booking, like I'm talking 5 or 6 hours, I'd say 40% of what I play is probably reggaeton now, which is mad.
I think it's because also people want to dance more, right? Reggaeton is one of the easiest songs, like easiest genre to dance to, as well as dancehall, bashment, blah blah blah. But reggaeton, I'd say, and house are the easiest to dance to, because hip hop, there's only a certain amount of time you could DJ to that. Because I was speaking to O'Neal, and he was saying he could play house for 10 hours, he could get everyone dancing for 10 hours. Yeah, but if you're playing hip hop for 10 hours, no one's dancing for 10 hours.
No, that's the thing I said about the house stuff. Like even when I play house, like I can play house sets for like a long time and never get bored, because I can take the journey so many different places with the different genres that you can play. Whereas with the hip hop stuff, to try and keep you, like if you do a 5 hour hip hop set, to try and keep that same energy level throughout the whole thing is it's borderline impossible. Because the thing is as well, like, and the thing is, when you play like at venues which have got crazy diverse crowds, like you're never gonna ever, like it's impossible to keep 100% of the crowd happy all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you're gonna play hip hop, which is gonna piss off the reggaeton heads. And then when you go to reggaeton, you're going to piss off the house heads.
Yeah,
and then when you're
going to piss off the hip hop heads as well. Like they hate it. The thing is, what I realized is like UK hate anything that's not English, basically.
100%. Like the minute you play a house tune, the hip hop heads are like, bruv, I swear to God, and girls are the worst, by the way. Yeah. I've had girls literally in clubs when I've dropped a tune, and not even necessarily a house track. Even if I'm big up DJ Hursty.
Reggaeton heads are animals. Yeah, they are. They're like, reggaeton. Can you play this?
But you know what the mad thing about when they say reggaeton as well? They don't just say, can you play reggaeton? Have you noticed how they always string out the R?
Yeah.
Reggaeton, they have to roll off the tongue. Reggaeton. But
the thing is, I know this as well. That's the funniest thing.
But the thing is, like, I swear to God, I've had chicks in clubs. Yeah. When I drop a tune that they disapprove of, they will straight up stop dancing in the middle of the dance floor, look at me, either give me a thumbs down, tell you skip the tune, or just give you the worst screw face and do this.
Oh my God.
But
they're part of the management team.
Yeah, but it's just one of them things you have to learn to accept. Like, you're never ever going to keep. And the minute you can get your head around that, because I've had sets before, mate, where I've played and I've left the club and I've said to myself, that's it, I'm retiring, I'm not playing no more. Because it's made me just think like every DJ has the nights where you leave the club and you question whether you're still good enough to keep playing. Everyone has that challenge, like, and I have it, and I speak to other friends of mine who, and I have them conversations, and they say to me, mate, I'm so happy you've said that, because I have that happen to me all the time, and it's just one of the struggles that you go through. Like, it'd be the same as a footballer playing a game and having like an off game, or having like a few games where he doesn't really play to his full potential, not scoring and that. I'm sure those guys must start doubting their ability and if they're actually good enough to continue playing at that level. But
definitely,
but you've just got to give yourself a bit of a break.
So you've done a lot of gigs, right? So what's been like the highlight for you in your career?
I'd say for me on a personal level, just because, again, it goes back to the house thing, just because I love house. It's probably when I played in IB for like a couple of years ago. Yeah. I've done like a little circuit where I did a set at Bora Bora. I played at Swanky's before it closed down, at Sankey's, sorry, before it closed down, and then done Ocean Beach Club as well. I think when you're abroad, it's like it kind of like it dawns on you not how well you're doing, but it makes you kind of appreciate the hard work you've put in. Because when you get bookings to go like abroad and stuff, it's like you realise that because obviously everyone has that goal for them. Well, most DJs will have that goal for themselves. They want to play outside the UK. So when you get to experience that, it makes it all that bit more special. Because you feel like you're actually living one of your goals and you're actually out there. But in terms of the UK, in terms of a club that I played in the UK, for me, no club can touch Ministry of Sound. Ministry of Sound is number one in terms of the DJ setup, the sound in there, the lighting, the atmosphere that you can create. So yeah, Ministry is probably the best club in the UK.
I think every DJ who's DJed there can agree with that. Like,
100%.
I don't think I've heard any DJ that hasn't played there saying it's not.
Yeah, like it's a special venue. Like when you're there, like the energy that you get, and like it makes you play so much better, because it's like, you know, Ministry of Sound is such an established venue. It's been around for such a long time. It's so iconic that, again, it brings you that extra energy that you need to make sure that set is going to be absolutely on point.
Definitely. So who in the DJ scene do you look up to?
So like,
has that kind of changed, like, since you were growing up to now, or has it kind of stayed the same? Or
you know what, like, obviously when I first started DJing, it was obviously all about the garage guys. So I used to look up to, like, my influences in terms of my early musical, like, garage stuff was people like Mac Jam Lamont, Todd Edwards, Dream Team, and all them guys. And obviously as I moved into kind of playing in the West End and stuff, like, I met people that you'd know of, like people like Sammy P, Max Denham, Colin Francis, CJI, DJ, like all them guys there. Like, we all started practically, like Kenzie, we all started our DJing journey in terms of London all around the same time, because we were all playing for the same promoters. So it's been good to kind of see that. Colin obviously has always been someone that has been around. He's slightly older than I am, so Colin's always been a little bit further in terms of his career. Because when I used to promote for Scintillate, they were booking Colin, so I used to go out to places like CC Club and go and listen to Colin Francis before I started playing professionally. But it's been good to kind of see how, like, Sammy Porter's absolutely smashing it. I respect Sammy a lot, because Sammy started off as an open format DJ like the rest of us, and he's kind of tuned into the fact that he wants to progress into the house stuff, and his productions, he's like crazy talented with his production. He's doing really well. Max Denham, another one I started out with Max. Like, me and Max have been close for a long, long time. Max, in terms of a hip hop DJ, is probably one of the best out there that I know personally. And I always give credit where credit's due. Like, Max Denham he's a sick, talented guy. Like, it's no joke. I've got another good friend of mine who I owe a lot to in terms of helping me when I first started, and even up to this day now, is my friend Zarman. There's a guy called DJ Complexion. He's a sick hip hop DJ as well. He's one of my best friends in terms of my DJ friends. But mate, everyone, you know, like, I think anyone that's just doing their thing, and anyone that's just putting in the work, and like, I've seen you, like, recently, like, you know, I hadn't really seen much of you before, but like, you're on my radar now, just because of the fact that your work rate in this lockdown has been hard. I mean, and I respect and I appreciate.
Bro, that's also because I'm still young, bro. So like, I'm still getting there. Like, and I've been lazy with everything. I can admit that.
We all go through periods where we've been lazy. Like I said, like before, like, a lot of it is difficult when you're so busy. You neglect the fundamentals, like neglecting things like doing your mixes, doing your promo stuff, doing your like. I'd never really live streamed before lockdown, to be honest with you. I'd never really done live streams before. It was always mixes, SoundCloud on Mixcloud, but never actually done live streams. And you think to yourself, like, now I think back and I think, why was I not doing live streams before? Like,
definitely.
Why was I not connecting with my audience before? Why have I waited to now to be forced to do live streams? But I just think I respect anyone that's just doing it, and anyone that's just making it happen. Like, a lot of people, I'll get a lot of messages sometime, and people will just say to me like, you know, oh, can you give me some advice on this? And I'll always give advice. Like there's no secret, like there's no really secret way or recipe to get into any level. It's just through like dedication, perseverance, and just hard work. And I think one of the biggest things that people don't do nowadays, because they rely too heavily on social media, is people don't network enough. Like when I first started DJing, there was no Instagram. It was no, like Facebook had barely just come out. So you only met people through being out and forging those relationships. And that's where real relationships are made, when you actually make time to speak to people.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think people rely, don't get me wrong, social media is a powerful, powerful tool. But
it's massive, massive.
It's a massively powerful tool, but there's other ways that you can interact. And then I think the live stream stuff is a key point of that. Just about interacting with your audience and people that actually are interested to listen to what you're playing or what you've got to say.
You know what, for me, it's just been like, I don't want to come out of quarantine and be on the back foot where I need to network to still get gigs. Like, because I know like people like you've already got your residency sorted. So when you're going back, you're just going back to the same residencies kind of thing. So for me, I'm kind of trying to use this as a networking period. So people are like, you know what, this guy actually made movements in this period.
100%.
I'm gonna see what he's about, and I'm gonna trial him on or whatever. Like, obviously, I've had loads of DJs say you should never tie yourself down to one person, which I never will, because I've done that one time, and then the club closed down. And I had nowhere to go.
That's what I mean. That's why I can't stress enough. Like, never put all your eggs in one basket. You've got to be able to have multiple different people that you can call, or when you're looking to fill your diary, you need like 7, 8, 9, 10 people you can say like, these are my dates that I've got free. Tell me which ones you want. And they know that you're at a level where they haven't even got to think about booking you. They just know that you're going to turn up, you're going to do your thing, and the night's going to be. And that's the advice I can give you is, don't ever. You said yourself that you're not going to do it. You've done it before. You've learned from that mistake. You won't do it again. Yeah,
because the worst thing, like because I had a residency, so every Friday and Saturday, I was their main DJ. Every week. And then literally, it wasn't even like I got told it was closing. It just closed. Like on the Friday night, I DJ'd. Saturday, I get a call saying we're closing. That's it.
Bro, you know what? I've had mad things happen to me, like where I'm not even kidding you. This is how deep it goes here. Like, and these are serious. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm talking about well-established venues that have been there for a long, long time. Like I've had emails come through on an evening where I'm meant to be going to DJ. And I'll get a random email, and it will just be, there's changes going on. So and so and so and so has gone now. This person's been brought in. We don't need you tonight, and you won't be back no more.
I just don't understand it. Like, but that's reality, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
that's the reality of it, and that's the mad thing. Like, and even me, like, who I said, I've been in London for a long, long time. Like, the one thing that I think people need to understand about the DJ game is there's no loyalty at all.
There's no loyalty. Even if your friend is the manager of the club, he doesn't matter. It don't matter.
If your friend gets the chop next week and a new manager comes in and his brethren is a fucking DJ, you better believe your residency is going, boy, because he's power, and that's simple as that.
Especially if he brings on a new DJ that's making him more revenue.
Exactly. Like, or charging him less money.
Yeah, or charging less money,
And the clubs are there to make money. So if the DJ's either bringing him more table bookings are going to make him more money, or he's charging him less, which means there's more money in his pocket, you're out the door. And that's the thing. Like, and what I think early in my career, I struggled with that a lot. Like, it was like, if I lost a booking, I'd batter myself. I'd be like, what have you done wrong? You must not have played well. I'll be over-analysing everything. And it was my wife that taught me to actually, she was like, you need to understand that, like, you can only control the controllables and do the things, like, control the things that you can control. And like, if someone loses their job or they change promoter or they're going to flip the night and you lose, there's nothing that you've done wrong.
It's just they're just deciding it. That's it.
It's just one of them things that you've got to learn to deal with. And all them experiences just make you stronger as an individual to be able to handle losing bits and pieces or getting rejections, like, because everyone goes through rejections. It's part of the game. Like, so you're never going to have it all your own way. Do you know what I mean? So
with the West End scene and like with a lot of scenes in the UK, do you think clubbing is going to more of a bottle service table thing and not for the love and passion of music, or do you think it's just the certain areas of the city or certain parts of certain clubs?
So West End, you're always going to have the bottle spends. Like the bottle side of things in the West End is always going to be, because that's the West End of London is famous for people going and spending money. People like to go to West End, they like to go to Libertine, they like to go to Tramp, they like to go to Tate, they like to go to the box, they like to go to Cirque, they like to have tables and have sparklers, and like it makes them feel special. I don't think you're never going to lose that.
Yeah.
Clubs outside of London, I think now, what I've seen certainly in the last 5 years, since around 2015, the rave scene in the UK is hard right now. Younger generation kids now.
A lot of people going raves, yeah.
100%. More people in the UK now that are under, I'd say under 28, are more interested.
Yeah, all my friends want to go raves. They don't want to go clubs.
Yeah, they want to go to Love Juice. They want to go to Abode. They want to go to like Solid Grooves. They want to go We Are Festival. They're not interested in going out. Like they'd rather not go out every week and then just go out on a blowout once a month, and they'll crack on and do whatever they're doing. And that's a
big point there, because like I've seen so many, like even in my friendship group in the last 2 years, everyone's going to Abode. Like before, everyone was going clubbing. Yeah, everyone's going to Abode. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I do think the clubbing industry, from what I see when I play guest bookings outside of London, I do a lot of stuff in Kent. I do a lot of stuff in like a few bits in Essex, and Essex is always all right because Essex has always had a good clubbing scene, so people will always go out in Essex. But around the Kent area, some nights are just dead. Like they're just dead. Like, and some nights are good, but there's no consistency. But even in London, like you can go to London clubs on a Friday night sometimes, and they're like 50% empty, like literally half empty. And you're like, bro, what's going on?
No, I've had that. It's like I've seen when I've been out as well on a Friday night. I'm like, why is there no one out? But on a Saturday night or Sunday night, it's packed.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday are the two busiest nights. Friday is always hit and miss. Like, but the thing is, a lot of people remember as well. A lot of people nowadays. Bro, it's expensive to go out. A lot of people can't afford to go out both nights.
Especially after quarantine, I don't think a lot of people can go out.
Yeah.
Like they say, people say I'm gonna go out, but I'm like, have you even got the funds for it to go out properly?
That's what I mean. I think Friday nights are gonna be like a real struggle, because if anyone's gonna go out, they're gonna save their going out day for Saturday, or like you said, they're gonna be going to events. They're gonna be going to like. Yeah. The minute the festival scene opens up in this country, anyone that runs a festival is going to be, bruv, their tickets are going to be flying out like hotcakes, like literally. Like George Benson and boys Love Juice. Like George is another one that's absolutely smashed it. Like George started Love Juice as again it was a multi-genre, open format hip hop R&B house around Essex. I've done a couple of things for George a long time ago. He used to come out to the West End a lot, and then obviously he pushed into the house thing, and Love Juice has just gone like into
Love Juice is one of the biggest brands now. Like
100%. It's gone into
getting booked in Dubai, Ibiza, Marbella, like everywhere.
Yeah, he's absolutely smashed it with Love Juice. Like, and again, like mad respect to him. And you've got other brands that are coming up. Like my friend Josh Hodges that runs Hush Events. He's got the La Fiesta thing now that he does with Daryl Privet and JC Paul, and they're doing really big things as well. And I think that just shows you like a lot of the guys that run normal club nights, they're now starting like rave events, like festival events, because they see the market for it. And why would you not?
What's been the best club you've DJ'd in?
Yeah, I say that in London, definitely Ministry, and then abroad, yeah, the bits in Ibiza that I've done.
Ibiza.
Yeah, and Marbella as well. Like, I've done Marbella a few times. Ocean Beach Club, where it used to be called, it's called La Sala Beach. I used to be called Buddha Beach. Done there a few times. There's a club called Aqua Mist that was good. I shut down now, but that was sick when that was popping. That was good. Like Plaza and all that sort of places.
What is it about Marbella, Ibiza that is different to London? Because like obviously I know it's a hot country, blah blah blah, but everyone says when they go there, the scene is just totally different, and it's just different vibes.
Yeah. I think it's just the fact that whenever anyone goes on a holiday, obviously like your spirit and your energy is just different. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like you've not got the same stresses and the same worries. It's like however long you're there for, you're escaping reality for that amount of time. So
do you think also because it's British culture over here that everyone's quite uptight and no one can loose themselves up a bit?
I think so. I think the UK, like just in general, the UK attitude to being able to like everyone wanting to compete all the time with each other, like it's a weird kind of attitude we have in the UK, certainly in London, like how there's like it's a constant competition. No one really wants to help no one really wants to support anyone, no one wants to see somebody doing something better than it's like if you said to me like, oh yeah, can you support this, if I would, because I'm the type of person that I am, but a lot of people would be like, hold on, if I support that, it's going to look like he's doing bigger moves than me, and that's going to benefit him more than I, so therefore I can't support that. And that's just a messed up mentality to have.
That's the thing. And again, when I was going back to how, like at the start, when people are kind of opening their eyes up now to like helping out other people during this time, because they're actually realizing that just even a little advice or little something can take someone like into a better place or further.
Yeah, it goes a long way,
and like you wouldn't get to your point if you didn't have people helping you anyway. Like
100%,
obviously it's your skill as well, but you've had people on the way to help you.
Ultimately, I mean, a lot of my networking is what's got me my bookings, but like ultimately, I still had to be given the opportunity to be able to actually play, and I give thanks to anyone that's ever booked me or given me an opportunity to play a residency or a guest booking, like anyone that's ever booked me. That's why I'm always really thankful. And at the end of every year, when I look back through my diary, I always make it a point that I put up a post on all my socials just saying, if you've booked me this year, like from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You've allowed me for one more year to do what I love to do. Because realistically, without people booking you for club nights, I wouldn't be working. I wouldn't be able to pay my bills and
literally,
do you know what I mean? Keep a roof over my head. So and everyone plays a part of that.
That's why I appreciate a lot of DJs now. Like they're seeing what I'm doing, they're trying to help push it out as well, giving it to other DJs or higher up people as well. And just like Rusky, for an example, he helped me a lot. Like he got me to do DJ Charlesy and Nathan Dawes. So like that's just massive in itself there.
Yeah,
so like
it's a huge platform for you straight away.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like it's just stuff like that. It doesn't even need to be, oh, you need to get me this person or whatever. It's just like loads of people have been helping me on skills. Like Hursty as well been helping me. Selector J, who's Miss Black's DJ as well, he's been helping me. So there's a lot of people who've been kind of supportive in this. But the thing is, it's literally,
it's like what you said there about the fact that, like, you know, Rusty going out of his way to help you. Again, he didn't need to do that, but
he didn't need to
show you that like people are willing to help. Because, like, you know, would you have been able to get Charlesy and that or Nathan on your channel?
No way. No way. Yeah.
But with Rusky saying, who obviously Rusky on being on a personal level with them guys. Like Charlesy, I've played with a couple of times. I'm not super close with him, but because obviously live in Dubai now. But the fact that Rusky even went out of his way to make that intro for you just shows that people are willing to actually help. And I just hope that continues on. I hope this positive stuff about people helping each other just continues.
I personally don't think it will. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but when everyone goes back into the clubbing scene, I feel like everyone's just gonna be like, oh, it's just I'm just doing this for myself, kind of thing.
Unfortunately, mate, I think that's probably the same. I think it's what's gonna happen. I think people they're gonna reform. They're gonna just revert back to true form.
How they were. Yeah.
People are gonna they're gonna get forgotten about quickly about like what we've all been through. And the thing is that the minute it comes down to, you know, right now, like no one's earning money right now. So like the minute you introduce financials to it, and the minute
everyone gets greedy about it.
Yeah, the minute there's financial gain, it's all about, I'm out for myself. And if it comes down to you or somebody else getting a booking and that person thinks, oh no, if I do this, then he might take that booking from me. But you better believe you're not going to get.
It's understandable because we're all human. We all do the same thing. Like we all do the same thing. We're all like, I don't want him to, because he might shell down the set. I don't want him taking my residency or something like that.
Course.
But
yeah, so it's a hard line, but like you have to kind of think about. I think what helps me is I always think back to people that have helped me, like what you just said there. Without people's help, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
So the way I try and think about it is like, if I don't help someone, like let's say for argument, if I didn't help you, you may not have the same opportunities that I've had, and you deserve as a human being to have the same opportunities as me.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to have their shot. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're working hard and you've got the talent to do it, and all you need is the opportunity to be able to go and show people what you can do, then someone's got to give the opportunity to be able to actually go and do that. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Because without the opportunity, then we're all just bedroom DJs. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we're all in the same boat, and this is what I was saying. So tomorrow I've got Jordan from Ibiza Weekender, and he was just saying this. He was just saying the same thing. He was like, bro, like we're all in the same boat. We're all at home, DJing in our gardens or in our bedroom. So there's nothing separating us. Even if I got 1 million followers or whatever, there's nothing separating us in that sense.
Yeah, like I remember when Jordan like used to come out, because when he first came out of the program that he was in, like him and Gary from Geordie Shore, I've known they came to like a couple of the club nights that I used to go out in Surrey and Windsor, and they was like long before Jordan started DJing. But like, you know, Jordan's obviously started to DJ now. He's using his platform to do his thing, and it's like, you know, why not? Who says that just because he was on a reality TV show, he therefore can't try his hand at something else?
I mean, that's the debate I'm going to bring up to him, because there's a lot of DJs who, obviously, like you've had 15 years or 20 years, you know, DJing solid, you know, like for the craft, for everything, and a guy with 600k followers just comes in, takes your set. It's a bit, you know what I mean? But yeah, it is what it is.
It's a tough one. Like I think if they're doing it for the right reasons, I think then I'm all for it. If it's something that they've always wanted to do and they're willing to learn the proper way and learn the fundamentals and actually be able to be a credibly good DJ, then I think why not? And who am I to stop them from doing that? But I've had experiences whereby people who have been reality TV artists have been booked to do gigs that I've been at, and they've come to do a guest slot.
Yeah.
And they've had to like, I've had to set up their Serato box for them, or they can't mix, or they're mixed on a USB and they can't mix their USB track into my tune.
They don't know how to set up. They don't know how to set up. Basically,
they can't even beat match one track in from like a USB into my Serato, and I've had to like mix the first tune in for them, or like give them the BPM of the track. And I'm like, if you can't even, it's like, it'd be like me saying I'm gonna go and become a brick. I'm gonna go and become a bricklayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't mix cement. But how the hell am I going to build a house if I can't mix cement? You know what I mean? If you can't mix cement, bro, you're not a bricklayer. So if you can't, like for me, if you can't beat match, you're not a DJ, innit? That's just how it is. And that's fundamental. It's been and that's because I learned on turntables with no visual aids at all. It was all about using your ears and the struggle of learning how to like separate different beats and different sounds in your head to know to distinguish which one's going too far to which one's going too slow. And for me, I'm not knocking technology, because we all use it. Like I'm on an iPhone right now, it's brilliant. I wouldn't take a Nokia back, no way. But like, I just think to myself, like, if you want to be taken, especially if you're coming from a background like reality TV, if you want to be taken credibly, go and learn the craft, innit? So when you turn up at the venue and you shell it down, people say, you know what, fair play, you've done your thing.
Bro, I didn't realize the time yet. I've got Jonas in it. Yeah, we got to do this again. Definitely.
Yeah,
it's been good, man.
Anytime you need it, bro, just shout. I'm here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna get through this week, and then we'll touch base over the weekend.
100%. Take
care.
Bro,
thank you. Yeah, take care. Thanks
bro.
everyone joining. Take care.